Hi, Facebook. It's Sarah McLeodry from Synergy Behavior Solutions. Wow, that's like way closer than than initially showed. I don't know what you can see in my room or not. Hi, it's Sarah McLeodry from Synergy. And today it's a new year, and we wanted to talk a little bit about training goals. And Lorena and I were talking about how often um, we have goals and then we have realities. And I think 2020 definitely taught us that your goals can be very different than your realities. And you can't really expect, you have no idea what's going to happen. And you can set it up for the best you can. So I want to talk a little bit about my own dogs and my own goals. I learned a couple years ago, Ken Ramirez from Karen Pryor Academy and Chet Aquarium said, what training do you do for your pet? So a lot of training that we do is with our pet or for us, but what do we do to better their lives? And that's one of the big things I've been trying to focus on lately with my own pets. So goals that I have this year, we'll kind of go through my different dogs. So the lump there, hi, Rizzo, Rizzy. There we go. There's Rizzo. Um, so she is going to be 11 in March. And so my goal for her is one, to stay healthy because she's had a lot of health issues. She has really severe allergies, and we've been constantly dealing with that. She has a heart murmur, having some loss of mobility in her rear end. We're just trying to figure it out. My other goal with her is to finish her nose work elite championship. So she has been the first American Water Spaniel to have gotten every title in the NACSW nose work world. And so we just have to finish that one. Our biggest problem right now is lack of trials because of COVID. Thank you very much. So that's my goals with her, or for her, I should say. But what would she want my goals to be? Well, one of the things we're working on constantly is her cooperative care. So Rizzo has a lot of body handling issues and has since she was a baby puppy. And so we constantly are working on that because she has so many allergies and she's constantly on eye drops and sprays for her belly and things like that. It gets a little overwhelming. So my goal for myself is to practice her cooperative care when she doesn't have those things going on, to help build up our bank account and our relationship for when it does. I am constantly amazed when I take her to the vet and she does all the things that I've trained her to do. Not that training doesn't work, it works, but I'm always amazed because she is such an amazing dog and we do have such a very strong relationship in our cooperative care setting. So that's a big thing for us. I would like her nail trims to be a little more cooperative. They are not. We do scratch board for her front nails. And unfortunately, with her rear end leg weakness, I can't really work on her back legs on the scratch board right now. So there is a little less cooperation than I would prefer. For Bueller, my middle fluffy dog, he is going to be 8 this year, and he was diagnosed with some health issues this year. He has atypical Addison's disease, and he has a lot of reactivity. And I think his goal in his life is to get out to more stuff. We've been doing a lot of sniff spots, and it's really made a huge impact on him. We're having so much fun. We have really great sniff spots here in Portland, if Portland metro area. If you have not heard of Sniff Spot, it is an app. Go check it out. It's basically like Airbnb for people's property to rent out, and you can rent it out. There's all sorts of different types. So, but you will be the only people there at the time. So it's like your own little mini dog park. So that's what I love about Sniff Spot. So that's what Bueller would say. It's more sniffing. This weekend at one of the sniff spots, he actually went through a creek. So I would like him to be a little more comfortable around the water. My son did an excellent job of working with him with treats to get him to cross the creek comfortably, and found a spot that it wasn't too deep and the current wasn't too strong. So get him a little more comfortable with that. And then also, once again, it's cooperative care for Bueller. So usually when he goes to the vet, he is sedated if we have to do anything more than a simple vaccine. And so, since he does have these ongoing health issues, I would like to work on his injection training and work on some better restraint techniques for him so he can be more comfortable when we do go to the vet. The vet's he actually loves the vet and he loves the people. It's once you get to touching him that he gets a little anxious, and he's little and he's very very squirrely. So he ends up on top of your head and is all over the place. And we've worked on some restraint techniques cooperatively, and we want to keep up with that and just make it so that he is more comfortable going to the vet, because my guess is as he ages, he's going to need that more often, as all pets do, but especially because he has some health issues. And then my little youngest dog, Lindy, she's turning 3 in like a week or two. So my goals with her for her are to do more nose work. She loves nose work, and so we are working on competing towards our NW1 and NW2 titles, nose work 1 and 2 titles, and doing some element trials. Having a ton of fun doing that. She loves to sniff. I would like to work on her confidence in new settings sometimes. So she is, we at the last nose work trial, she actually got scared of a very, very, very large flag that was cracking and snapping in the wind that day. And she missed the first search because of it. And so I'd really like to work on that. She's initially very worried whenever she gets anywhere and then warms up pretty quickly. But I need to do a better job of getting her out to more places and different places to practice her nose work and to just have build her general confidence in where we're going. So even us dog trainers have dogs with some issues. Like I said, once she gets there, she's usually fine. As soon as she did that first search at that trial and got scared of the flag, the second search was brilliant, and the other 2 searches were equally amazing. So as soon as she settled in, she was fine. But that first little moment's always a little tough for her. My other cooperative care issues with her that I would like to work on is she has a chin rest. I would like to build on that. And actually, I think in the next week or two, I'm going to be doing a chin rest live talk, and she's going to be my demo dog. So we're going to be talking about how to take the chin rest beyond the initial acquisition of the skill. So doing it to other items and how do you add complexity, things like that. Um, so the other thing that I would like to work on with her is working on some cooperative blood draw work with her. So she was going to need a blood draw pretty soon. And so I'd like to work on that, and also more of her fitness. So she has a neurological issue in her rear end. And so I'm always working on games and strengths to build up and boost her rear end. I see that Diana has a question. Jimmy isn't a nervous dog, but is nervous in the car. I'd like to help him there. That's really common. Cars, a lot of times with car issues, double check if they are getting car sick. And car sickness doesn't need to be big vomiting car sickness. It could be queasy tummy. So if you're looking for signs of panting, pacing, unable to sit, burping, things like that, that their tummy may be churning. If that's part of the case, definitely talk to your vet if you're seeing any of those signs, because that can make the dog nervous. If every time you go into that weird thing with the wheels, your tummy gets upset, you sure aren't going to want to go in there more often. And then if that isn't part of the case and you really think it's just about nervousness, one of the first things is to work on going in and out of the car without it moving. When I first start that with a dog who's worried about the car, I make sure all the doors are open so the dog has a way to get out so they don't feel trapped. And we work on just going in, coming out, going back in. We're not even going anywhere. We have treat party in the car, things like that. And then it's actually a nose work activity with one of my other clients we're working on this week too, is we are doing scent detection work around the car. So we just change the dog's opinion about what the car is about. It's not always about going somewhere. Sometimes we get to search the vehicle. And to start that, what we do is you could just you need something sticky. So peanut butter, spray cheese, something like that. And you would put little globs of it along the lower end of the car, around the base of the car. So you could the center of the hubcap, and then halfway down the door, and then the next hubcap, and a couple spots around the bumper, and then the other hubcaps. And you teach them how to circle the car and doing their little nose work search. And so it just changes their opinion. All of a sudden they start looking at cars as things to investigate instead of always things that they have to go in to go someplace. Once he gets a little more comfortable in the car in general, I always recommend going fun places. So for dogs who have car issues, we tend to avoid taking them in the car. And then when they do go in the car, it's usually to the vet or the groomer, something like that. So Bueller has some anxiety in the car that developed after we moved here from Illinois. We were doing a lot of car traveling, and it just really, he got a little car sick a couple times, even though he had never had that happen until it was like six or so. So we've going to these sniff spots with him has actually really changed his opinion in the car. And he's super happy about being in the car now. The other thing, thanks, Diana, the other actually trick we did for Bueller is once he started being able to go in the car, is we would just do a very short trip to Starbucks or Dutch Bros or wherever you want to go and get a puppuccino. And so now he knows that Fridays are Frappuccino Fridays, we call them, with my son. And so we always go to Starbucks on Friday mornings, and we always now take him with us, and he gets a little puppuccino, and he thinks that it is the best. And so he's getting that positive association of being in the car. He's getting a yummy treat. He's getting some alone time with his people, with my son and myself. Because I have three dogs, they don't necessarily get a lot of alone time with us. So those are some of the things that could help with car issues. And I guess that's one of my goals for Bueller, is because Bueller was, because of his reactivity and his anxiety, his world was pretty limited. And so he was only going in the car to go to the vet usually. So it's made a big difference for him. And so maybe that's one of my goals for Bueller, is to continue his car enthusiasm and have him going more fun places like that. So any other questions or thoughts about goals? You know, when we have dogs with issues, trying to break those goals down to little bits. I know I get overwhelmed and I quit goals about halfway through. So today, my goal for after Rizzo's nail trim was, normally I finish it and I give her a bunch of treats and we end it. And it's like no big, it's done. And we kind of wash our hands of it. And today, she was laying on her back while I was trimming her nails. And we then I let her stay there, and I fed her more treats, but I really massaged her chest, and I stretched out her arms and really waited until she was more relaxed, and really had a moment with her in that same position I do nail trims, but in a much more positive way. So being aware of that can be very helpful for your goals. And so it doesn't have to be big goals. Sometimes if you're like, I need to be able to trim all of my dog's toenails by whenever, you give yourself this fake goal date, that's overwhelming. And it's going to put a lot of pressure on you and your dog or cat, that isn't helpful. And so my goal would be, can you trim one nail? And then can you trim another nail 3 days later? Maybe not even trim two nails in a week. What can you do to do that? So thinking about those, what can you do to help their lives be better? And I think the biggest one for most dogs is cooperative care. So grooming and husbandry, that's how you can make their life better. And also to reduce their anxiety. So that's my idea for goals for 2021. I think we've already been thrown a little bit of a curveball for 2021 that we weren't expecting with last week's craziness in Washington, D.C. So we'll see what the rest of the year brings, and maybe I'll have to do some videotapes of before and afters. Us positive trainers don't like to do a lot of before videos to show you bad behavior, because our goal is not to put our dogs in that situation. But behavior happens. So maybe I'll do some before and after videos with Lindy, with her restraint, and doing some stuff with Rizzo too, so we can share those. If you are interested in anything that we're doing, we're having some fun stuff coming up. We are teaching a relationship building class that's based on play. That starts next week on Mondays. And then we have a muzzle magic class coming up soon too. And then next month, we're going to have some new webinars. I'm going to be showing my predictability webinar that I worked on previously for the Pet Professional Guild. So I'm going to be offering that next month. And let me know what your goals and thoughts are about for you and your dog for this year. And we'd love to hear that in the comments. And if you have any questions, please feel free to give us an email at info@synergybehavior.com. Once again, Sarah McLeodry at Synergy Behavior Solutions in Portland, Oregon. We look forward to seeing you soon. Have a great day.